Welcome to the I Am the Worst Parent Ever podcast with Nicole Merritt and Dr. Robert Zeitlin.
Hey, Robert.
Hey, Nicole, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm good. I woke up this morning thinking about something. Can I tell you about it?
Of course.
We talked before about sometimes in our relationships, we keep score on our partner, like who's doing more, who's parenting harder. Sometimes I find myself keeping score, and it's stupid, I catch myself, but keeping score on myself. Like, did I get up early enough? Did I do everything that I planned to, my to-do list, everything that, all the things that we have set out for ourselves. And I find myself really being hard on myself. And then I have to take a step back and think, listen, you got up early, you meditated today, it's better than you think it is, so I'm pulling myself out of that dark place a little bit.
Right. I mean, I do it to myself too, and I'm not sure where it stems from. Like, I never, in my childhood, I was always, raised to feel confident. My parents always told me that they believed in me. So where self-doubt, where my self-doubt came from, I'm not too sure. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I was thinking that the antidote for me so far is to just get up and do it. Just not to not hear those voices or those thoughts, but just to remind myself that I got up this morning. I got to sleep early enough where I could get up this morning. I had a conversation with my daughter this morning about running, and she's like, yeah, I don't think I can run this far. And I'm like, listen, you're lacing up your shoes. You're going to be out there in a minute. It's a day where you ran, Some people say going to the gym is a commitment you make. And even if you go to the gym and you touch the doorknob and you turn home, you've gone to the gym.
Right. It's taking those little steps. And I remember you and I had a conversation about that. I told you I've done one 5K in my life and I didn't train for it. Not at all. But there was something about giving myself these little goals. I completed the race, and I never in a million years did I think I could do that. I don't think I could do it again, but I sure as heck probably would and could if I just stepped up there and did it. So much of, I don't know, I think so much of life's greatness comes from the chances that we take of just doing it. The same for me happened with blogging. Just was I ready to start my blog? Did I have enough posts that people would want to read? But I had to hit publish. Sometimes you just gotta go for it.
Yeah, a couple pieces of wisdom that I rely on that you definitely demonstrated with the blog and with the running is Seth Godin, who talks about start before you're ready. He uses the example actually of the biggest champions in game show history, like Jeopardy, etc. They learned to hit the button just before they were sure they had the answer. And that's a great stance to take because life is risky, but it's not really as risky as we always think it is. And then the other wisdom that I just came across the last 6 months, Tara Gentile wrote this piece, and she said, all these goals that we have for ourselves, they would be better off if we just had hypotheses. So instead of I'm going to run a 5K by September, I'm going to do what it takes to run a 5K by September. I'm going to run 3 times a week, or I'm going to run 10 miles a week, or I'm going to do this or do that. Doing that daily work is actually what happens, what makes the dream happen, not so much having the dream and the goal. That actually isn't the kind of incentive that you really need. I think you need the incentive to get out and get out and run 3 times a week.
Right. And sometimes we just like the idea of having this lofty goal or saying it out loud or having people hear us say it out loud. But I never in a million years thought I could run the race or maintain a blog like I have. But it's kind of like how I said to you once before, set your expectations a little lower so you can actually achieve them. When I did the race, I just told myself, all right, I won't walk the whole thing. I'll do a little bit of running, and a little bit turned into a little more, and a little more turned into I ran the whole thing. But, you just have to, give yourself a break, cut yourself some slack, and you'll kind of impress yourself.
Yeah, but it is hard to like push that button. It's hard to hit submit. It's hard to, I just said off air with you, starting a weekly blog or a podcast was something I resisted for the longest time. And here we are now, so many episodes into this podcast, and I couldn't be more proud that we're doing this on a weekly basis and we're putting this out there. Never mind if we're getting feedback, never mind if it's like going well, just like the act of doing it makes me feel so proud.
Right. And I'll tell you, there's nights where I go to bed and I'm like, or a week where I'm like, how am I going to fit that in this week? Like how is that going to happen? Like there's too much to do. How is that going to happen? But then you get up and you do it and you did it and it's done. And it turned out great. So you just, and it's fun. I feel like it's fun to surprise yourself, to like challenge yourself and push yourself. For me, I kind of thrive under pressure, and some people don't, but you and I we just talked about anxiety recently, like that anxiety just gives me a little, like, I don't know, it turns this little knob on and I don't know, it's invigorating and it's motivating. A little bit of pressure can be good.
Yeah. And sometimes it's too much. Like sometimes it holds us back. Like it took me a long time to make this commitment, for instance. I've done a lot of different things, but like committing to doing a weekly podcast, that's a tough one. And I know for a lot of people, like just hitting submit on an application, just putting their first writing out in the world, even just sending that email or asking for a job, like asking for a raise, having that conversation. These are huge challenges. And sometimes we don't do them, but most of the time we don't give ourselves enough credit or applause or recognition that we've actually done them. We actually did that. We actually launched a blog, or we started a podcast, or we applied for that job, or we asked for that raise. That's huge. Or, bring it back to parenting, had a conversation with my partner about how to balance things better, or had a tough conversation with my kid about saying no.
Yeah. And I think we struggle. I mean, I'll be honest, I feel like I'm proud of myself for how far I've come in blogging. I'm proud of our podcast. But I do feel like that means that sometimes I can phone it in as a mom. Am I fully present with my kids? So you have to be willing to accept that you're not going to be the top dog in everything at the same time. I know one time recently my husband and I had a date night and we were talking about it, and I said to him the whole yes, I feel like I'm on my phone too much or I'm distracted, a lot. But the whole goal, is to get to a better place where I can be more present, and that this is going to hopefully help mommy be able to get there. So I think you have to be willing to accept that you're not going to be the top dog in every area of your life at the same time, and be willing to be okay with that.
Mm-hmm. And like you said before, ask your kids, find out how you're doing. Like you may actually think you're ruining it, you're making a mess of it, but it turns out they actually really appreciate that you're doing all this stuff, and they see what you're doing for the family, and they see what you're doing for yourself, and you're providing a great example for them.
Right. And I say I'm not doing enough, right? But then we had that conversation where you put those small wins and those little flags and everything. Like if I think about the fact that everybody got up, everybody was fed, everybody went to school, everybody did their homework, everybody got to okay, I did do a lot today in addition to not doing anything and phoning it in.
Right.
So you have to keep perspective as well.
Yeah, you definitely have to. And, having just done a couple challenging things and grading myself really harshly at first, I had to admit that maybe I did get a 98, but those 2 points, like those 2 things that I didn't do were like killing me for a while. But like once I got over that, I'm like, dude, you did all but those 2 things. Like not everyone does that right out of the gate. Some people try 5 different times before they get there. And here right out of the gate, you did really well. And it's like putting those positive flags and being our own cheerleader. We talked about being our partner's cheerleader. Like we deserve a little more applause than we're giving ourselves.
Right. And on the day-to-day when you're, it's probably hard for you to recognize that. So have a little notebook by your bedside and write down what you got done. Don't write down what you didn't get to. Like, some people say they make a list of things they missed so they can tackle. No, don't do that. Only write down the stuff that you got done that day and go to bed feeling like, look, this page, And even if you only have one thing on the page, that spend time with my kids, do you know how much that is worth? Like, that is worth so much. So just, you got to keep perspective. It's very hard. I suffer. I have trouble keeping perspective on the day-to-day, but it's important to bring it around at night and find yourself a little bit of peace so you can feel better about the job you're doing. Yeah,
I'm imagining this like 8x11 like sheet of my to-do list, right? And when I write down my accomplishments at the end of the day, it's on like a little Post-it, and I'm writing little small print so I can fit it all in there. It's better, like, imagine, what a word cloud is? Like, which words show up more often or like bigger and more colorful? Like, spend time with my kids. Like, that could be like a oak board, poster board,
Yep, totally hear you. So I think that any parent that you feel like you can't keep up with everything and that maybe you're phoning it in, it's okay. It's okay to phone it in sometimes. You're probably phoning it in less than you think you are. If you follow our small wins and our little flag method of keeping track, then you're doing better than you think.
I'll go even further than that. And, we talk about permission slips. Here's a big blank permission slip to phone it in sometimes. You're actually recognizing, that you can't do it all. You can't do all the things. And I think there's a lesson in that too. If you're worried about your kids watching you and you want to be 100% perfect mom, present all the time, like take a permission slip and give yourself a break, because your kids are going to see yourself giving yourself a break. And that's a lesson you want them to learn too.
Right. I would call it take a chill pill. Like, we say that in our house, like, a lot, like, take a chill pill. And you sure should take one, and I should, because when we are more chill, we are more present, and we can get more from those little smiles and laughter that we are generating.
Agreed. Great point. Well, this is a great conversation, Nicole.
Thank you, Robert. You too.
Thank you for listening to the I Am the Worst Parent Ever podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss an episode.